The colour suggests a tone of anticipation, and on the 17th begins the countdown, those great ancient solemn antiphons at Vespers, O Sapientia, which ring out from the Middle Ages and echo the cry of man wanting mercy, wisdom, light notice, or Oriens on the shortest day of the year, and hope. Man, until then, is groping in deep darkness, uncertainty, trying to palp a way into eternity as at New Grange, with some kind of insurance policy against the dark and the unknown. And life, remember, was short. Those who built the likes of New Grange would have an inning of 30, 35 years if they were lucky. At the most 40, because life had no medicine and there was little hope of longevity. And so death is ever present. We forget that. Indeed, one can ask, who is the wise one in that equation? Are we wiser than they? Does all our medical skill make us any wiser when it comes to insurance against the dark and against what might be there? Advent also works on that level. And as in Advent much energy goes into preparation of bulbs and whatnot, so too in life much energy goes into computers and whatnot. And the big question remains. And then, when I went to my weekly encounter with the parish priest at 9 o'clock this morning for confession, I was shown by the sacristan a picture of a young man just turned 21 who had, I think, been found hanging in one of the outhouses of the parish. And the good sacristan explained, apparently he owed a lot of money. There's a lot of drug abuse in this village, and it was due on the Saturday, and on the Friday he found a way out of the problem. I don't judge him or anyone, but is it cruel? Is it that cruel to be with it and like every other young person, learning early on the likes of pornography, abuse of substances, bad language, relationships that come and go? Is that wisdom? The first reading talks about let your, now what? Question mark, be known to all men. Modestia vestra, it's actually in the entrance antiphon, is actually the best we can do in Latin of a dense word in Greek. It's the root of epikeia, epikeis, which comes through, and I look very carefully into it. It's sort of this: clemency, leniency, reasonableness, goodness in the face of what might be an absolute rigour, and an application of the law in a way which is human. It's actually very important in the Eastern Church. It's the principle they call that of epikeia, which has actually consequences even in their church life. I won't go into that now, but it will explain one or two things, including what Cardinal Müller, when he was still head of the CDF, said in public. It's a problem, because we don't have that when it comes to a second chance before a priest in marriage. I looked up various translations. The French keeps to modestie. The English that we have in the RSV echoes that of the Old King James Version, forbearance, a good Old English word. But I looked at the New Jerusalem Bible, and it's quite interesting what they come up with. It's this: let your good sense be obvious to everyone. That's a good one. I want to zoom into that. Good common sense. Do we have it? It's actually something which, if it's not there, even in holy souls, can actually be a huge problem. One can be very pious and not have a vast amount of good sense. An example might be a mother of a family who would be neglecting the education on a personal level of her young children and going to many, many prayer groups or whatever it might be. Good sense has been lost, and judgment is not in the midst to rule. Prudence is the charioteer of the virtues, says the old saying. Prudentia auriga virtuorum. And the same applies also on the other side. Somebody, for instance, who goes all out to excel in physical prowess, sport, to such an extent that it obnubilates and cancels everything else and becomes the center of attention, time, energy, and all that goes with it. It can carry on after marriage. Men who still behave as they did before marrying and go to the boys rather than to the wife who's neglected at home. It can apply also, young people, to study. And you parents right now, think hard before choosing some kind of present which will damage their study and also the family life to boot. Think. There is a big difference between purchasing a game which will encourage some skill and some relationship with others. I think of the good ones which were around some years ago, the like of Trivial Pursuits, great fun and also based on general knowledge questions, Go, Monopoly, and others which involve fun and games as a group. Or to buy something which will create a house full of human bubbles. People doing this in their corner when there's somebody right next to them. Damaging their capacity to communicate, and then when it comes to study, making it very, very difficult to sit down with nothing but a plain black and white book of print. Damaged young people. Think, my friends, because presents have consequences. I would suggest another way. Invest in time. It's the best present you can give. That applies also in marriage. If, after a while, you can't sit still with your partner and do nothing but talk and have natural fun, you too are damaged. And so, learn to invent and play simple games with your children, which involve your person. I conclude. As with regard to preparing for Christmas, this season does invite us to think of Christ returning in his real presence at the end of time. The anticipation of which is right here. We face our King as we will face our Judge on the last day. And because this is the Gaudete theme for the Sunday, I would ask you, where are you looking for joy? There is no deep encounter either between human beings if their will is not wedded. So too with Jesus. If we're not in his will, we will not have joy. Because the principal ingredient of joy is peace. Many people will do all kinds of things for extra joy, but they'll have the problem of no peace. Do you think a bandit gains real joy from a hoard of stolen money? I tell you not. Do you think a priest who leaves the priesthood will find peace in his heart at a deep level? I tell you not. Do you think that by gaining an argument and hurting somebody you really have peace and joy? I tell you not. Peace is not complex, and joy, authentically, is but peace